Hey guys, my name is and this is the Millennial Way Show. We are here finally at the Mack cycle store, the iconic one, the legendary. I'm going to show you our next guest. Follow us, come on. Well, you might be asking, what's this? What's happening here? This is the professional fitter studio from Mack Cycle Store, and we're going to be talking with a professional fitter called Pavon. We're going to be talking about all this story about triathletes and why it's so important to do these kind of improvements when you buy a bicycle. Why is that? Well, because we have received a lot of messages from you guys to talk about how, as you implement sport, for example in this case triathlons, in your daily life, you can improve yourself and you can be actually a better person. So please stay tuned. Pavon, professional fitter at Mack Cycle Store. Check it out. Chris, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure to have us here in your house at Mack Cycle. Yeah. We would like to know a little bit about your life. Yeah. Who is Pavon?
Yeah, I've lived in Miami for most of my life. Definitely traveled around the world. But definitely always in love with bicycles. So now, as a professional bike fitter now for 7 years, I get to call Mack Cycle my home. Mack Cycle's been here now for 62 years, family owned from day one, and there's always a huge involvement in the community from everything we do, from fundraisers to working with sports teams, organizations, etc. So part of that is, what do we get to do? We get to work with athletes. And one of those is on the machine right here, you see right next to you.
Perfect. Finally, we are here and we would like to understand a little bit about how the process of a fitting consists. We received several messages from our different audience from around the world asking why is that important to make the fitting to your bicycle. And also another question that we received was, like, when you are competing abroad, when you do the fitting, but then you have to disassemble the bike.
Put it all back together.
Put it all back together, how you do that. So let's work a little bit on that.
So we think that riding a bicycle is just like what you always do it. You sit on your bicycle, you put on your feet, and you pedal and you run right through. What if we tell you that's not how we want to be? We want to be just like how you're standing up right now. You want a neutral back, you want neutral positions, your hands be relaxed, and you have to do it for 112 miles.
Wow.
Right? Without moving, without getting up, you're in one position all the way through. So with a lot of the athletes we work with, we're making sure that you are comfortable, fast, and efficient. So you will be the best. So you will reach your goals, your personal records, your Ironman competition, your local triathlon. That's the goal we want to help you be a part in, and that's what this is all about. So when you decide you want to go from Miami to Germany, right, you can put your bike back together. You know that it'll be the exact same way you race back at home. Now you cross to a different continent and it feels exactly the same. So that's the goal. It's really making sure that we engage with you, learn what your goals are, your personal injuries, what's currently bothering you on the bike, and then this way you will fall in love with exactly how you should be riding for the rest of your life.
In general terms, how this machine works, it looks like a robot.
It is, right? And wait till you see it move. But the great thing about this machine, which is called the Guru Dynamic Fit Unit, is it allows us...
What was the name?
The Guru Dynamic Fit Unit.
You got it, guys. The Guru Dynamic
Fit Unit.
Fit Unit.
You got it. So what this will let us do is now put the rider in the best position that allows them. We are no longer hold to the confinement of the bike, that we can't bring the handlebar out, that we can't raise the seat post anymore. Or what if the bike's the wrong size? That's the biggest concern everyone has. Am I riding a bike that's too small or too big for me? Now we get to do whatever we want. We get to pick the saddle, we get to pick the handlebar, we get to pick the pedals, the crank arm length, etc. to find the most efficient position for you. So that you reach your goals and you're the fastest you can be, and then everyone else owes you the finish line coffee. That's the goal for every rider, right?
Right.
So we want to make sure now that this can be moved and adapted to every way possible. Now what it lets us do, it gives us those final measurements once we're done on where your bike should be at, and our job is to make sure we're to that best comfort spot, and also tells us what bikes fit you. So let's say today or tomorrow you want to change a bike, and we know exactly what you should be on. So this allows it to be very time efficient. So we'll be in and out in less than 2 hours, where other units and services will last 3 hours plus. It lets happen in the moment. So if something's uncomfortable, you will know it as soon as we move it around. And of course, you can see the beginning and the end. So it's always it's transformational when a rider comes in right from the beginning and they see where they ended at the end and how much it affects the whole process.
since when did you like all this magic of being a professional fitter?
So, going through pain myself. So when you learn that there's always a better position for you, that's what motivates you. So why am I going through this pain? Why am I uncomfortable? Why can't I ride like the person next to me? So you start learning. So we go through several conversations. We start going through several seminars and courses, and so far through my career I've been to 4. So this way now, with all this input, all this information and experience that myself and other fitters have here at Mack Cycle, we just really get to get in tune and understand and communicate with the rider on how this should feel. And going from personal experience, I know exactly what a bad saddle can feel like.
Chris, why do you think that professional cyclists, professional triathletes, professional bikers decide to come to Mack Cycle to do this kind of processes, to do these fittings?
I like to say it's our experience. Again, we've been here for 62 years. From day one, when the first triathlon was put into the professional circuit, the transformation and the evolution of bicycles, the investment that we have in our community and our customers. The goal is to make sure that you keep coming back. So we have another 62 years here to service you and your future and your family. So our commitment is to make sure that you feel comfortable riding your bike, and we know that with the service we put in, you will see a difference in how you ride.
Chris, what will be your best advice to all these first-timers that are jumping into cycling, into biking, into the triathlons, to actually be a better athlete, involved in community, and to join in these wild rides?
Yeah. Once you find your passion, what you love in cycling or triathlon or running or any part of the sport, then what's the right conversation you want to have with the person to make sure it's right for you? In the sense of cycling, this is it. Get fit first. Understand, speaking with myself, what is it that you want to be? Where do you want to do? Where do you want to do it? And what are your goals? This is how we can make it all happen together, and you'll enjoy doing it going forward.
Okay, Chris, so I understand the machine. Perfect, beautiful, a robot. And that information jumps right there on the screen.
Absolutely.
Tell us a bit about it.
So it works on an XY coordinate. So if we were to pinpoint where the saddle and the handlebar is, this is essentially the 2 areas where we want to move on the bike. So what this unit will allow us to do is, again, on a 360-degree platform, move this wherever we want. So if this was your starting position, this is the bike you bring to us, we measure it, we input the data here. And now as we continue to move forward, we can continue to move the bike based depending on the adjustments that we want to make.
Also, right now here it's moving, right?
Correct. So this was step 1 in the specific rider's profile. We just learned, okay, you know what, we can make it lower, we can make an adjustment. And the rider says they want to be more aerodynamic. There may be a saddle concern. We can make an adjustment here.
Okay, so I have one more question.
Is this about your bike?
No. I have a friend. I have a friend.
I have a friend.
I have a friend of a friend. When I have set up my every millimeter, every inch correctly, and I have my race, let's say in Colombia, and I have this mantle, I have to put it in my bag, airport, you know, they don't treat very good bicycles or airplanes. And then how I build it up again, that is perfectly millimeterly correct.
And that's a great question because I get that often. So what we do here afterwards, we put markers on the bike. So we'll mark your seat post height with a sticker. We'll let you know where the rails of the saddle need to be. The extensions will have a marker of how not to pass anywhere forward than this. So it's easy to put it together, and typically we'll talk about 2 to 3 steps so you don't have to dismantle the entire bike. But let's say, worst of the worst, everything falls off, right? Well, the report you get afterwards will then show you all the data where we left off at, and you'll get this through email. So your fit position, your profile, the bike, all the XY data that I need, but more important, what the rider needs to know. And then that's how your bike should be finished at the end. So let's say you forget it, you bring it back once you come back, and then we'll set it back up to where it was.
Guys, that's why he is the one and only here in Mack Cycle. Thank you.